in some ways I take the emotional side out of racing and treat it as a job more than anything. I think everyone can react to something at the same time, but it's then making the right decision.
So I'm really thrilled to be chatting today to Zak O'Sullivan, who is only 18 years old, but is fast becoming the most brilliant racing driver. You're currently Formula 2, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Zak, for chatting. So what inspired you to pursue a career in racing? How did you get started?
No real family links, which is always the common start of a career. I'd always liked cars. I'd always been involved with cars. I'd say my dad and I were petrol heads from quite young.
Yeah.
So we used to watch the Formula 1 on the TV. Essentially, one day we went to the Autosport show in Birmingham, and there was a go-kart on sale. That was when I was 7, and after a year of pleading, I got it for my 8th birthday.
What age were you when you first competed in a racing car?
14 was the first time I raced a car in Vinetta Juniors. But I've been karting since age 8, so pretty young.
Yeah, very young. And as a young driver, what are your aspirations and goals for your career?
I think it's the same as most people in my position or at my level. Formula 1, of course, being in F2, you're only one step away, so I'm at the top of that kind of feeder series ladder. So F1's the goal. It's been a childhood goal. It's something I don't think many people think they will get there, but I'll do as much as I can to make it.
And you're a member of the Williams Driver Academy. Can you explain what that actually means to us idiots?
So I was signed to Williams when I was 16 in 2021, and essentially being involved in their academy is they take you under your wing. It's no different to a football academy. So I'm signed to them as a Williams driver. Essentially the base of it is, provided I perform well in the junior series, one day I'll have a seat with Williams in Formula 1, which is a massive thing. And for a junior driver, it's the first kind of leg in and step into Formula 1.
Can you tell us what your sort of best and most memorable moment of your career is so far?
I would say most memorable moment, winning the Young Driver of the Year award in 2021 was a very cool event. It's actually held, the announcement is held 3 months after the competition, so a lot of waiting. It was also my birthday, so it was a good birthday present.
What a great birthday
exactly,
present.
But I think that was the kind of standout moment.
Yeah. Where do you stand, as a matter of interest, on the money versus talent debate?
It's a tricky one. I mean, it's no secret that to get to Formula 1 you have to be very well funded. I wouldn't be at the level I am without funding behind me, and nor with the other 21 drivers on the grid. It's one of those things, I think, provided you get your results in Formula 3 and Formula 2, no matter the money you have, you do deserve a seat in F1.
How do you find the means?
It's a mixture of family support, some very generous sponsors, and also Williams, as I before mentioned, who partially contribute to my cost of racing, which is a massive help. But we've made it so far. We still need a bit more help. Any support we can get is massively appreciated to try and help me kind of get over the line in Formula 2. I think for us, we've come so far, I'd be ashamed to let it go now.
Oh God, no, you can't let
exactly.
it go now.
But no, it's an astronomically expensive sport. That's the harsh reality of it. And I'd say it's probably the biggest hurdle you have to overcome.
Yeah. Can you describe a particularly challenging race you've competed in?
I would say last year quite a challenging race was Melbourne in Australia. It was a new track for everyone, which is always a bit of a learning curve. And in terms of preparation, nothing really changed. And I guess that's the kind of the point of it. I wanted to make sure I did nothing differently and just approach it like any other weekend.
Do you have a sort of certain things you like to do before a race, you know, that you're sort of not superstitious about, but, you know,
a process.
A process that you feel you have to go through? Or
not really. I've kind of made a point of making sure I don't do it.
Yeah.
I think if you get superstitious, you're in a downward spiral. I think for me, it's more focusing on stuff that I know I can work on, or stuff we've pinpointed perhaps in the past. I think it's about being reactive and adaptive. So if there's anything I can react to in the way I approach things, the way I go about things, then I'll change that.
Yeah. What do you have to do physically? I mean, I know I should know probably, but
a lot of strength training. So there's some odd neck groups that need training with the G-force.
Yes.
So our necks will be in line with rugby players' strength necks.
Okay.
General cardio training, because whilst you're in the car it is quite high intensity for long periods of time. And also in Formula 2 we have no power steering in the cars.
Okay, so that's
the steering's very, very heavy. So yeah, there's quite a lot of training, especially in the off season, because you're not actually in the car. Once you get during the season, you get what we like to call kind of race fit. So you're driving more often than not, and you get into that rhythm there.
And sort of, what about sort of quick reactions? Is it good playing, I don't know, computer games?
It's an interesting one, because you see a lot of drivers practicing reaction techniques, or how they can react. I think what's more interesting is your cognitive reaction, how you react to certain events and the decision you make, because in the end that's the more important thing. I think everyone can react to something at the same time, but it's in making the right decision.
What do you believe sets you apart from other drivers in your field?
It's hard to say. I think I'm relatively good at staying calm. I never really get too angry or hot-headed in the car. Or if I do, I try to keep a lid on it as much as I can. I'm never the one shouting over the radio saying this and that. In some ways, I take the emotional side out of racing and treat it as a job more than anything.
In such a competitive sport, how do you handle the sort of, I don't know, the successes and obviously the inevitable setbacks you'll get?
Like all sports, you have more often than not a bad day instead of a good day. But it's one of those things, you work as hard as you can to make those good days more often, make those bad days less frequent. So I think that's the motivation in a sense. And there have been some sort of nasty accidents in recent years. How do you approach risk management and safety while sort of pushing the limits? It's a fine line, isn't it? I think for all of us, there's no thought of it. Of course, you're aware of the danger, you're present of the danger, so we know we're driving very fast cars in real life.
While you're doing it, you've just got to
focus on the job in hand, and the job in hand is normally winning the race and being as selfish as possible. So,
you're quite right. What is the difference between driving F2 cars and an F1 car?
Massive. To put it simply, an F1 car has around 1,000 horsepower and weighs around 600 kilos. An F2 car weighs the same amount or slightly heavier with 700 horsepower. So, I mean, it's a different world really. I think the step from F3 to F2 isn't massive, but then to F1 is a massive step. Also on the world stage, there's a lot more eyes on you. I think there's quite a lot to get used to.
And if things go the way you hope they're going to go, when are you sort of expecting to try and hit the F1 stage?
Fingers crossed by the end of this year, end of 2024. Of course, like all individual sports, it's self-dependent, so I have to do well. So all the pressure's on me and from myself. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and fingers crossed all goes to plan.
Just beyond motorsport, is there any other industry that you're still passionate about?
It's a tricky one. I think making a career in motorsport has been my goal for so long. I'm not closed-minded to do anything outside. I've always been very interested in property and architecture. From quite a young age. Even when I was really young, I used to appreciate buildings. Not sure why.
That's very good.
So it's something I've always had an interest in. And I think either architecture or property development, something like that. I'm interested in. I think the focus now, of course, is racing.
And how much time do you get to spend here at home in the Cotswolds?
Not
Probably
too much.
Not a lot.
At the moment, God, not many days at all. Probably 3 or 4 days in January.
Gosh, nothing.
But no, once we get on the road, it's not too bad. I'll normally have 4 weeks in the summer off fully, and some gaps in between races. But once you go out, once you start doing a couple of races in a row, I mean, I'm away from the 1st of March until the end of April or something crazy. Wow. And you just travel from race to race. So it's a bit of a travelling circus. There are down periods, but there's definitely busy periods to go with it. Oh, well, listen, wishing you the very, very best of luck with your season and beyond. Perfect. Very, very good luck. Thank you very, very much for chatting. Thank you.